Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome to what should be your favorite podcast, where we recap Survivor CNU. I am once again joined with the host of Survivor CNU, Trevor. Trevor, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I've been waiting a long time to talk about this episode in particular. I hope everyone that's watching, I hyped up this episode as much as I could. I hope it lived up to the hype, and I cannot wait to talk to our guest.
So, I actually just was telling the guest, I've watched this episode more than one time because I just feel like you couldn't even get everything in just one iteration of watching it. There is so much going on. Um, I can't wait to talk about it. And in my opinion, we have the best person on this week to talk about this episode. So, without further ado, drum roll, we have Hannah. Hannah,
Hello.
hi, welcome. Hannah is joining us from Jamaica. So she's all in the vibes over here hanging out. And she is ready to dive in and tell us about everything. So, welcome, Hannah. We are so excited to have you. Even if Trevor's not, I am, and that's really what matters. No, I'm just kidding. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you guys about this. Like Trevor, I've been waiting for this episode for a while now. So I'm glad to finally be able to talk to you guys about it.
Do you ever go to Trevor and you're like, how many more days? How long? Is it now? Is it me yet?
Literally, I think all the time I'd be like, Trevor, like, how much longer till our season comes out? Like, how much longer? And he's like, Hannah, like, I still am doing editing. Okay, well, what episode are you on? Like, all the time bugging him nonstop.
Well, I think that not only from what we've kind of been seeing foreshadowed in the episodes coming up, we've had a lot of build up. So just to recap for the people who are kind of coming in, what is released is what is called episode 6. It's actually titled On Death Row right now, which we're going to talk about more in a little bit, but it's like the best episode title you could come for this episode. We've got to see this divide of what is mystery gang and this divide that was happening with Colin Bunn kind of being in the middle. Last week, nobody takes this immunity necklace, so both teams end up going to tribal, where we see who I've been referring to as Benedict Arnold all season. He decided to be on the wrong team, and he votes out Maggie. And then Leah played it up last week about trying to just seem like she was going to scheme her way and she was going to ride it out with you guys. And we'll talk a little bit more about Leah there. But really, my question is, I was very confused at the end of last week. At any point, did you think Leah was lying to you?
Yeah, I think it definitely popped into my head multiple times. I mean, I'm very paranoid about Survivor, and so all the time I'm like, this person might be completely lying to my face. In my mind, in the moment, I thought it was the best option for her is to come with us. I thought we were offering her some pretty good, advantages staying with us, especially because what I told her was, Lily and Shaggy are a pair, and pairs are always kind of scary. Join us, and it'll be a little bit different. So definitely for me, it felt like it was the best opportunity for her. So I was just really, really hopeful that she would see those pluses, but it definitely did cross my mind that she might be completely lying to us. But I wouldn't have had the numbers because I knew Colin wasn't with us.
Right. At some point, you have to roll the dice and just hope for the best. Because really, what are you going to do? It doesn't matter if she is or not. You have to try.
Mm-hmm.
And then she messes up, in my opinion. And I'm gonna talk about this a few times, and I always have like the plus or minus scale if you've been watching the episodes. Leah left on a very high note for me last episode, where I think she got away with a lot of things, but everything she got away with last episode, she just throws it away right here. Why would she tell Lily what she was gonna do? Why did she text Shaggy asking, like, if you're gonna be a shady lady, be a shady lady in your head. Don't be telling everybody about it. And so I really don't know how Leah's going to recover, because she's never going to get that trust back from Lily. But I guess we'll see those in kind of future later to see what ends up happening. But I just really think that not only did she lose the trust with the people who she ultimately decides to work with, but then she loses the trust with you, and you're never going to trust her again to do what she's going to say. So Lily really just shoots herself in both feet. And she doesn't have anywhere to maneuver after this because she just really kind of screws herself. Yeah, so Survivor's CNU recaps here is talking, oh boy, this is about to be lit. Been waiting for Hannah for a while. Also, I've been waiting for Hannah for a while. Hannah is one of the people that I have sent lots of messages to Trevor about trying to get more information, trying to get more intel. Hannah and I talked about it a little bit before the podcast started. You were the first question I asked as far as dynamics. I wanted to know everything because I think you are such, first off, an intelligent woman. It's so amazing to get to see just the smart, the intelligence and the smartness kind of come out. That's not the right word, but it was just really awesome to see. And I think strategic wise, you are the player to beat right now, that you have the ability to do so many things. And you're where my initial reaction have shifted from a man winning this season to a woman. It really does come from you and your storyline that we're getting to see. And I think that at this stage, you have the ability to take it all. So don't tell me anything else. Don't mess it up for me. But hopefully that's what happens. So let's get in. We'll jump into episode 6. Do you remember what the challenge was, Hannah?
Yes. Oh, yes. This
challenge. I don't think she could forget.
No, I can never forget this challenge whatsoever.
Why don't you go ahead and take it for us? Tell us what the challenge is.
So the cup challenge. So we had to hold our cups on ping pong. Well, I didn't, but the other players got to hold ping pong paddles with cups on them. And, the object was to push the cups off each other's ping pong. And, going into it, I was very much like, hopefully this goes well. There's a possibility that they'll throw it. But in my mind, as a Survivor lover, I was like, you don't throw a challenge. Like, you shouldn't throw a challenge. But,
that's what my mind says too. My first big thing says, why throw a challenge now when you don't know what's going to happen?
Exactly. That was my entire thought process. Is I was like, I know that they don't like me. I'm completely aware of this, that they haven't made it obvious enough already. But we might as well not go to tribal council. The longer we don't go to tribal council, the longer things don't get messed up for myself, but also for them. But then, of course, it all kind of clicked when we were discussing who was going to get to play. And I was basically sat out. And I was like, no, like, I don't want to sit out. I don't want to sit out. I don't want to sit out. And then I was, we went down to the rock, paper, scissors because that's the only thing I could get them to let me do. And I lost that. That's very bad at rock, paper, scissors. And then I think my facial expression during the challenge just shows it all. Just complete, like watching a ship sink. It was just, there was no chance for us to win. They were completely throwing it.
So I will say, in watching the episode, it was almost hard at first to see that it was being thrown. It's shown a little bit later, but like Sophie looks like a comp beast for like 30 seconds. She looks like she just goes out there and dominates Colin Bunn. And then, he flips it and he beats her the second time. And so you're like, oh, maybe he just sucked for the first one and figured it out. But as it's kind of going, you're like, there's absolutely no logical explanation as to why Shaggy doesn't win his round. Yeah. He's like 9 feet taller than whoever he went against. Like really, think of a little kid who's trying to hit somebody and you can't. Like, there's no logical reason for why. I think it was actually Colin Ray, why he was able to beat him in that. Like, it just didn't make sense. And then you see in Leah's kind of confessional talking about the rock, paper, scissors thing. Does that change your opinion on Leah? Before she was kind of this middle ground, trying to have a relationship with you. And then here she's like, no, I was not going to let her play, but we like BS this rock, paper, scissors thing.
Yeah.
Does that change your opinion on her?
I think definitely it's been interesting. I think people have mentioned this on the podcast before, like being able to finally see everybody's confessionals. Like, I knew that they had thrown the challenge. I had heard from like the other tribe that they had thrown the challenge, as I talked on this episode. But to actually see them talk about it, it almost stung even more. I told Trevor I did cry watching this episode again because it was like, oh, like this really, you guys are laughing about it during your confessionals. Like, there's no sympathy whatsoever that you put me in that position. And so it definitely was really hard. And especially from Leah, that I felt like, I think I was a little bit sassy in the episode, but we can get to that. But, you know, someone who I had really, really tried to get on our side and offered her good opportunities, and then to see her be like, I did not want Hannah to win. I'm so glad that she didn't. And I was like, that stings a little bit, but, you know, it's part of the game. But it definitely made me kind of, if not solidified my opinions that I had of them in that moment.
Well, and for Leah to make those comments, again, kind of going back to what we just talked about, it doesn't make sense. Leah literally just told who is Lily's best ally in this game that she had thoughts of voting her out.
Mm-hmm.
Almost moronic to tell somebody, like, again, be shady in your mind. We all have those thoughts of like, oh, I should do this. But it's what you do, and as a person, like, kind of how you handle it. So don't just say those things talking because you're bored.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to keep those things in your head. And so I don't understand what her motivation is to even be, because you really were the only place that she had to go, you and Gabe. There's nowhere else for her to maneuver. And so I won't ever be able to understand that. I look forward to being able to talk to Leah to see what her perception was or what her thought process on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a viewer, what it looked like is she decided to do something shady. She wanted to make a move. She chickened out of it, felt guilty about it, and then wanted to rub it in her face, like in your face.
Yeah.
That she, like, oh, I was going to make this move. No, just kidding. Now I'm set up for success because at least for 2 votes, I'm going to be okay. Which in reality, that's not the game of Survivor. If at any point you think you are going to be safe for a significant amount of time, you are not playing the game. You should never feel safe. Like, if you're feeling safe, something is wrong and you're doing something wrong, because somebody is always talking about voting you out.
Mm-hmm.
Always. So the challenge does end up going rather quickly. As we've heard, Mystery Gang does decide to throw it. Hannah is forced to sit out, and the other team just takes them for what they're worth. I think the score ends up being like 7-1 or 6-1 or something ridiculous. Trevor calls it the biggest blowout that's ever been in Survivor CNU history. I think he feels a little guilty about saying those words, and he's like, I'm not even really exaggerating, but y'all can be upset about it, or some kind of paraphrase. It was disgusting. And I will also say, just in watching the faces of it all, and like Lily's face in the whole thing, I just found to be so disgusting. And so this week for Lily, she's actually the bottom of my entire cast. Lily, I've had very high remarks for her pretty much all game until here, where I do not. And so just that, what is it, Tafihidi or whatever, this green tribe that they've changed their name. Lily's face, Shaggy's comments, then Lily's comments. I'm absolutely disgusted by them. I think what they did on a human level was gross. It was outside of the scope of gameplay. And that'll pretty much be my last comment that I have on it, because I think that as viewers, we're going to be able to see it anyways. And so I will let everyone else make a decision off of that. So we'll get into the strategy part, because Hannah, this is what this true episode is. Talk about it. You and Gabe are going through it. You have an idea. This last vote didn't go your way. You were lied to by literally everyone. They probably had their moms call you and lie to you too. Like, they were just like, couldn't trust nobody. Tell us, what is your plan? What are you going to do to save the both of you?
Yeah, I think Gabe said it in the episode. Literally, as soon as that challenge ended, we bolted and we started looking for idol, because at the time I had the idol in my pocket, but there was another idol out there that we had clues for. Gabe didn't know I had an idol in my pocket, so we were just going out there and looking for an idol. The whole time in my head, I was looking for this idol for him. Like, this was going to be the saving grace for both of us, knowing that I would have an idol in my pocket and we could possibly find one for him. So we honestly spent all night. I think my hands were all scraped up. We, teary-eyed, were looking for it nonstop. And we didn't find it. And it was really devastating in the moment, because you just lost this terrible challenge that was heartbreaking, and then seeing all the reactions after it was heartbreaking. Not finding the idol after it's like 1:00 in the morning and you can't find it, and you're just like, I've looked everywhere on this stupid campus and I can't find it. And then you just go back and you're like, what am I going to do? You don't think about, the play that I made, you don't think about that first. You think about we're defeated,
I will truly say, and we'll talk about that later, I at no point expected the outcome of what happens. Up until literally like the last few moments where your kind of demeanor and your like you were already upset. You had a right to be upset. It was a very upsetting situation. And then it kind of switches from being upset to something more. And we'll talk about that kind of later in the show too. We'll end on that note. So it's not the whole thing, but I never expected this. I was so prepared for you and Gabe to find this idol. It was going to be like a quadruple idol play. And from what it sounded like is you guys were going to vote out Colin Bunn, which this is what I want to know, like, as a player. What the fuck were you thinking? Colin Bunn? Like, you didn't want to go for Shaggy and Lily, who were kind of the glue in this. Colin Bunn? Why?
I think like how it just ended up playing out is we were just like so defeated, and I had my plan kind of figured out and stuff, and we were like, I don't know how I don't remember how we got into Colin Bunn, but it was one of those things where we were just mad at him possibly, and we were just like, no, like Lily's not going to go home, Shaggy's not going to go home, Leah's not going to go home, Colin's not going to go home. Let's just go ahead and put the vote on him because we felt like he probably should have stayed with Blue Crew because nobody, at least from I remember, actually hated him. So that came out of nowhere for us.
This is the true mystery of this season. I've asked it to every single player who's even said remotely that they were working with Colin Bunn. Where did this information come from? I mean, it's episode 1 we hear it. Like, it's so quick. And I'm like, how 7 minutes into a game can you feel that 8 people hate you?
Yeah.
Like, there's just no logical... I'm just starting to think that he just wanted to play with different people and he thought that he wouldn't be able to integrate with yourself. And so it's just a way for him to feel better about himself. It's like he's lying to himself to justify what he's doing. And so for that, I guess we'll get to talk to him eventually, maybe, and I'll get to be like, what was it? Either way, I don't think he's somebody I would ever want to work with anyways, because he's just a wild card. And he comes off very cocky when really, newsflash, sunshine, you shouldn't be. Like, you shouldn't be.
I remember the confessional, like in person and in watching back of Colin Bunn, where he says, "And they can't do anything about it." I died laughing in person and rewatching it. It's just so funny to me, and especially how the outcome, how that happens.
Yeah, he's really like, we're gonna split it. What is he gonna do? Donut Shop here. He's giving you some praise. So happy to see Hannah on the stream. She was my favorite player from this series. I don't know what an elbow cuff is. It sounds very new school here, and I'm old. I'm an old lady. Like I don't know. I don't get it, but I'm gonna say that it's a cool thing. So Hannah, I also have a friend that I talked to about with this season. I told Trevor, and you're also one of his favorites. So you do have the fans rooting for you. And Colin's keeping us on track here. Gabe also thought the plan was to convince Lily and Leah to vote with you. So, so that would make sense. So Colin Bunn and he's not going to vote Shaggy.
Yeah.
Because they're working so close. So that makes more sense. Yeah. So at what point did you decide, because that's what it talks about, you guys are going to do this fake idol plan. You've made these 2 fake idols. You're going to go to the Lily and you're going to be like, listen, I have idol A, Gabe has idol B. You can either cut a deal with us and work with us, or we're just going to vote you, which is, I think, genius. She either believes you or she doesn't. And in my perception, it looks like Colin Ray talks you out of it. Why? Or what was it that he said that made you go, this won't work?
Yeah, because I ended up I made the fake idols, but I ended up not talking to them about it. And I think it kind of came down to that if I had already made up my mind it wouldn't. I just don't think. I probably can't pinpoint it to one thing. I think I'm always like so worried about what's going to happen 5 tribals down the line, and I wasn't positive that the plan was going to work anyways. That they would flip the vote, just partially because of how their demeanor had been previously. I didn't know. I mean, I thought maybe they would think I had an idol, but then they would have been like, "Why didn't she play it before?" and stuff. So I think I was a little bit concerned that it wouldn't have worked anyways. And so I honestly, I mean, I don't know what specifically said that changed my mind, but it didn't happen. Yeah.
I think when you guys were talking, because I remember doing the confessional with you at this. I remember our confessional at this point particularly, because I remember I called my brother out there. I was like, I think he's gonna do it. But I remember you said that like I told Gabe I was gonna do it, but I don't think I will. And I think I can't remember exactly what you said, but I remember watching the conversation with you and Colin Ray that like you already know they're splitting the votes.
Yeah.
So I think like if you say nothing, then they're gonna split the votes no matter what. If you say something, there is a chance they could switch something, and then your plan doesn't work.
Yeah. Actually, I feel like I'm starting to. Sorry, I think that's starting to jog my memory a little bit. I think it was part of that too, where like I was like, if I try to change it up, then the plan might not work at all, and I might be sent home, and then it might be like, let's all just vote Hannah, just in case she's bluffing, and then it wouldn't have worked at all. So I think, yeah, Trevor, thank you for saying that. Actually, I feel like, yeah,
that makes more sense, I guess, if that was in your mind. I secretly wanted to see it happen because I think Lily's too paranoid of a player to hold steadfast. Especially since she's already seen her name written down. Part of me thinks that Lily, had you came to her and were really like, listen, I know you're working with Shaggy. Colin Bunn already told us all of this stuff. I know you're working with Leah, but you knew she was going to vote you out. Like, she's let you know. What makes you think she's going to be loyal to you now when all she did was get scared at the last second and switch her vote? Obviously, she's not with you. However, like, strong woman to strong woman, we don't have to go against each other. We can put something different, and it doesn't have to be this. I'm not even going against you, and I'm not going against Shaggy. I want you to vote Colin. Take off somebody who's working with Shaggy, then you're for sure his number one, and you don't have to even worry about it. And part of me thinks that Lily may have at least considered it. My personal opinion of Lily is that she needs a lot of attention. So if you don't have the ability to cultivate that relationship constantly, it would probably not end up working out. But, we won't know because it's not what ends up happening in the episode, even though for a minute we were going to get some real good drama. What ends up playing out is Hannah and Gabe do, in fact, make 2 fake idols. They're kind of secretive about it. We don't really get to see it. It's talked about for the very last few seconds at Tribal, which I personally thought was the wrong decision because that's when I would get spooked and flip my vote. So I was prepared for it to be like a 3-2-1. That's what I was preparing to see. And then with you having to decide kind of last second if you were going to play your real idol or not. Did that cross your mind? Did at any point you think they're going to flip this vote? This is what's going to happen?
Yeah. Definitely the idols actually probably scared me a little bit, the fake idols, because I had to keep with the fake idol plan to keep Gabe thinking what he was thinking. And so that kind of scared me a little bit because I was thinking the same thing. Maybe this will kind of skew their votes, but I kind of had to keep it up for Gabe. So it was a little bit hard. And yeah, I was like, what if the vote doesn't go as planned? Should I play my idol just in case? And, that ends up, kind of being my thing, is just taking the big leap of faith and saying, hopefully this works. Because in my mind, I was thinking, if I can pull this off, then I'll have my idol for the next tribal council if I need it,
And really, you do need it. Like, you don't have a choice, because even if you use it here and Gabe goes home and then you play the idol, their first thing they're going to be like, well, she doesn't have 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not going to matter what you say at that point. You're going to have nowhere to go. And really, you don't have anywhere to go in this tribe.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of at the mercy of whatever they do. And this next round, if the tribes stay like this, I don't even think they would throw a vote worrying about an idol, because you would have played it. Now, they have to assume that whatever idol is out there is not out there and found by you. Somebody else has it, and you're kind of being crossed off that who has an idol list. And then going forward, really, they're going to stick together, and you have the pick of who leaves. And it's not going to be you, whether it be because you threw a vote on someone or whatever. That's going to be the person who goes home. I just don't see that group of 4 even making somebody feel like they're on the bottom, because that's stupid too for the long-term game. Like, that's how you lose a Colin Bunn, because he's at the bottom here. But y'all put my name down just in case an idol was played. That's fucked up. Like, that's not what's going to happen. So Hannah ends up making the decision that rather than sticking with the original plan of having the vote be a 2-2-2 and a revote, where we've seen from the confessionals that Hannah would ultimately be the individual who goes home. She was their revote plan. She does something that I personally think was one of the hardest decisions you'll probably make this game. Because it does come into a point where these people that are playing this game, they are real people, and you are close. And outside of Colin Ray, Gabe has really been your consistent factor of just kind of friendship and who you've had to lean on to. How hard was it for you to make the decision? Did you guys talk about it? What was your thought process for it?
Yeah, I think honestly, I feel like I remember that whole week so vividly. First, Maggie getting voted out. And, I definitely, I talked to her, like Gabe and I and her saw her in passing, and, it was kind of tearful a little bit, like, oh my gosh, like we're such in a bad position. And then everything with the not finding the idol, when we go idol searching, that was really hard. And, I think when we actually went idol searching was when I had already kind of thought about the idea of just voting Gabe, and that Gabe would go home during one of our idol searches. I already had that plan in my mind, and it was really, really late at night. And I remember we were kind of just like walking, totally devastated. Me thinking in my head, I might have to just vote Gabe. Like, this is going to completely suck. I'm thinking I'm a terrible person because I'm like, this guy has done nothing wrong to me. He's always been there. He's been my number one ally in the game, and he's on my tribe. Like, I need him. And, he's been 100% supportive. And then here I am thinking about just voting his name and voting him out. And it was devastating for me because I was like, he's a good person. And I'm not usually the kind of person that's ruthless, especially outside of the game. I'm not a ruthless person. So, having to think about taking those risks in the game was really kind of nerve-wracking for me. And then, yeah, we were looking for idols, and we were kind of not talking, just being quiet. And he was like, one of us could vote the other person, but my vote is going to Colin Bunn. And in that moment, hearing him say my thoughts out loud, like, totally broke me. And, I held it together. But that night before tribal, like the day before, I guess, I was just like, it was awful. It's like, it just like that he knew that maybe it would be coming hurt. And it made me so emotional, which is like, it showed in the episode 2 afterwards. Like, it was just totally pent up in me. And then after it happened, it was just crazy. But yeah, there were so many emotions about it. And, he talked about in his confessional that he was, he knew what had to be done and stuff. But it was took a big emotional toll. It was probably the most I'd gotten emotional so far in the game, at least.
In a sense, he almost gives you permission. He's almost to the point of like, hey, I think you have a better chance to continue playing this game. I'm rooting for you. Like, yeah, we could both do this. It's going to have the same outcome either way. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. So if you hadn't thought about it, here's my permission. I'm going to let you think about this. And again, in my non-professional, because obviously we're not professional cast assessments, we're just fans of the show and the strategy. At this point, I think that every incredibly loyal player that was in the game has been voted out. I do not see anyone else to be as loyal as the group of individuals that we've had voted out this first, 5 votes. I think the only one who wasn't loyal is the individual's names who I wouldn't even say. So, but I think everyone outside of that, they were all incredibly loyal players. They would have rode hard for the people that they wanted to work with versus being kind of flip-floppy. Where instead, again, we have players like Colin Bunn who literally will go anyone who has McDonald's at this point. They're like, he gave me a chicken nugget. I'm going to work with him. Like, that's where he's at. I think the only person you can make an argument for me is Shaggy. But even Shaggy, aside from being loyal to Lily, I don't think he is so blindly loyal. And Lily's not who he starts with. So does it even count? He really just kind of adapted to where he needed to be to make it kind of happen. I'm not so sad that Gabe left because we didn't get to see a lot of him. Unfortunately, he was very lucky to be safe for the first few rounds, so we didn't get to hear a lot of his storyline play out. But he definitely holds a soft spot in my heart now after how he handled this week. He held his head up high. I think he did what he felt was best for you as a pair. And I definitely believed he saw you as a pair. And I'm going to pause my thought right here because we have my good friend Dustin.
Hey, folks. How's everyone?
Hi.
Great.
We missed you.
I've missed you all, too. I'm so sorry. We had thunderstorms, and I was delayed. Power just came back a few minutes ago. I restarted everything. Hannah, super excited to see you here, and super excited we're not talking about your elimination today. Yay for that. So... also, great episode, Trevor. I know we've talked about it in our little chat we have going, but fantastic episode. And Hannah, fantastic gameplay. I have no idea where we are in this podcast, so I appreciate, Destiny, you hopping me in here and all the work that you've done for the last few weeks for me. So thank you very much. I'll jump in when I can. So
Sure. So I guess after that, my real question for us, we're just kind of talking about how Gabe was probably really loyal, and I think he's one of our most loyal people that are left. Have you got to talk to him after Hannah? Have you been able to have a conversation? Did your friendship continue? Because what it seems like, it was a real friendship. It wasn't just this game scenario.
I did get to talk to him right after the vote out happened. When I say talk, I mean I cried in his arms for like 30 minutes about it because I felt so bad about it. Meanwhile, the whole time still not telling him that I had an idol in my pocket. But just feeling bad that I still had the idol in my pocket and I had to vote him out. We honestly haven't talked since. He graduated earlier than I did because he's like, I think maybe 1 or 2 years older than me. So we didn't really talk much about it afterwards. But I mean, I hope he's doing well, and I hope, him being able to see the season and see everything that I went through, that it was definitely a very, very difficult decision for sure. So.
Well, Gabe, if you're watching, I want to be your friend. I'll be loyal to you. I won't write your name down. No. I'll go home in your place, Gabe. I'll be your Hannah, but I'll take the hit for you. It was very hard to watch. I can only imagine how you feel, and now we're asking you kind of relive it. But on the flip side of it, now you have the ability to save yourself, and you don't even have to worry about, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I think for peace of mind for there, I think it allows you to try to do something more because you have a backup plan. I can go try, I can play really hard. It's actually probably better for you to go try and play really hard. People will think that you're scared. They're not going to think you have an idol. They're going to keep being like, oh, we can get her, whatever. And it'll allow you to kind of maneuver throughout what this is happening because really, if tribes stay the same, this new green tribe only has one more round where they're not picking off themselves. And hopefully you can use that to your advantage. And hopefully, unfortunately, I hope that this really showed you that maybe you do need to try to get back in with Leah because Lily and Shaggy's commentary through this tribal was absolutely blah. It was very obvious that they had shut you and Gabe out. It was very obvious that they weren't communicating with you, that they gave you the cold shoulder. They made you seem like you didn't matter in every aspect of the word. And Survivor players, if you ever play a game, do not make anyone feel like that because that's not true. And 2, you have no idea what's going to happen. And so you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're turning off somebody who they're literally afraid of you for being a good person and player and intelligent. Like, it's not because you're mean. It's not because you suck at something. It's because you're good. What? Why are you worried about somebody who's good? Keep that in front of you come merge. I want to hide behind a Hannah. Like, no, I'm stupid. Hannah's smart. Vote her out. And so just the comments, and I spoke about it earlier in the podcast, the things that Lily says when Trevor asks her the question, like, hey, I think it was actually Gabe's question. Like, hey, I know you're feeling like you're on death row, like one of you's going home. And Lily's like, yeah, but I feel this is about me. You should be worried about me. And as a person, I was like, she can go. Like, she can go. I don't want to deal with that. When you're there and in these tribals, do these questions impact how you think? Like, do you start going, I thought I was going to go that path. I'm going to go the other way now.
Yeah, I think definitely the votes are not always secured before tribal council. I think things always can change during tribal council. And I think definitely hearing Lily talk, I feel like there might have been something cut out in tribal, because I'm pretty sure I might have said something like, well, when she was talking about how she was going to feel, she would feel the same way because her name was called out last week and it was her or me. And I was like, well, it wasn't you. It was me that got hurt. So like, I think definitely hearing her say those kind of just solidified even more that I had to make this big move in order for me to stay alive, just to play one more week at least, just to, show her that I'm not going to be defeated like this. Hearing Shaggy say things like, I'm just so at peace. Last week was the most stressful tribal, and me literally shaking in my boots knowing what I'm about to do, and hearing them talk like they're king and queen of the world definitely made me be like, I'm here to play Survivor, and that's the time it's the time to do it and to make this big, bold decision. If anything, just to show them that I'm not easily thrown away,
And you're not wrong. And again, I said it before, if you're ever sitting at a tribal council and you go, I'm so at peace, bitch, you're going home. Like, you should not be at peace ever. The moment you get cocky is not confidence. You can have confidence in what's going to happen. You can have confidence in your gameplay. Don't be cocky, because I promise you, someone somewhere right now in this game is going, man, we should vote out Shaggy and Lily the moment we get a chance. I promise you it's happening. We might not get to see it. Trevor's got a confessional that he's like, yep, I know who it is too. And he's going to cue it up because it's happening. You should never feel that confident where you can say at a tribal council, I feel at peace. Even if you have to lie to me, say you feel uneasy, because Hannah's going now. She's like, all right, perfect. They feel so secure that, Leah should be going, why do they feel that confident? Everybody's mind should be going, what? Why? How? This isn't right. So, we go through the episode and we get to see the votes and what we've already kind of talked about. Hannah makes the decision, which I think is the smartest decision for your gameplay. So, outside of the fact that it was hard from a game perspective, if there was this $1 million or just to win the game, you did the right thing. She's able to keep her idol in her pocket. Nobody in the game outside of Colin Ray knows that she has it. She votes out her friend Gabe, and she's then able to stick in there another week, and hopefully with the disgusting display of events that has happened up to that part, she'll be able to maneuver and she'll be able to come up with at least an opportunity to kind of get somewhere else. You leave tribal and you're upset. Do you at any point think, I made a mistake? I should have just went home. I should have done XYZ. Did you have any regrets on it?
Honestly, no. I think, other than feeling bad for Gabe, no, I didn't have any regrets at all. I thought that I made the move that I had to make, and I saved myself for another week, which is what was most important to me. I tell Trevor all the time, I always try to think weeks in advance in tribal councils, and so being able to see myself, okay, I have one more week to either swing someone to my side or do this or do that, definitely made me feel better. There is always that little voice in your head being like, well, I just kind of made a big move, that's going to put a little bit of a target. But in my mind, I was thinking, what next? What can I do next? I just did this, but how can I either fix my reputation or use it to my advantage moving forward? I was thinking, I'm safe for the next week. Okay, hopefully a merge is coming my way. Otherwise, I'm going to be kind of screwed over after the next week. So I'm thinking, what can I do next? And honestly, as much as throwing the challenge really annoyed me and it was very frustrating, and, some of the actions specifically after the challenge were frustrating, it almost worked in my benefit because I think we talked about it in the episode actually. When Lily says that she talked to Ray about it afterwards, about how they threw the challenge and that kind of stuff. And she was like, well, Colin didn't seem that happy about it, which I was a little bit surprised. But from what I heard from Colin at that time is that basically all of his tribe were not very happy with how that all went down. So here I'm thinking, okay, well, I can survive one more week. Then maybe we get to a merge. If we get to a merge, they're all kind of like, these people did not play Survivor like they should have. Let's, save Hannah, keep her around, then I'll just be a bit of a to you. So, that was my thought process.
And really, you're going to be able to maneuver in that if something does happen and these tribes change, because you're the new Colin Bunn. Because where Colin Bunn tried to get in and try to flip and get this new alliance, that's you. You can go, listen, I don't know why he said he was hated. They're literally throwing challenges to get rid of me.
Mm-hmm.
Work with me. They took out everybody that I have. I don't have anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Use me as a number until you can't, and then we'll figure it out from there. But I think that you have the ability to really get in there and make something happen. My number one question that I had from this episode is, where does Hannah go from here? I know you can't answer it that from me, but it's like my big old star question. I am so excited to see where you go. I'm so excited just to kind of see what new alliances form for you. I think we've kind of seen it from the beginning. It is not going to be with Colin Ray. Y'all are not working together. You may be telling people stuff, but you have made it very clear you are both here to play the game. And really, I think you come out on top in this. I don't think that it was necessarily a big move that you should be targeted for. I think you were, I don't know what that is, but I think that you were forced to do something and you used it to your advantage versus what was being kind of provided. So, I mean, Justin can tell me, do you think that she should be targeted for making really what was the right decision?
I think it was a really strong move, and maybe down the line, people are going to look at that as threatening. Like, if Hannah gets to the end, wow, she made this really power play there. I'm wondering, you kind of thought in your mind too, like, hopefully this is merged. Are you looking forward to, at this point, connecting with some of the other people on the other tribe? I know specifically, like Colin, of course, but are you looking to get back in with some of the members that you met before? Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I mean, Henry is on the other tribe, and we kind of had that whole blue crew kind of thing, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, if Colin's like, yeah, Hannah, obviously you can come join my alliance. Maybe Henry will be a part of the alliance, kind of. I was talking to Colin the whole time during the game, and so being able to be like, okay, well, these are his alliance members. I could get along with them. Kristen seemed like someone I could get along with too. So I definitely was like looking forward to seeing those people. So being able to, definitely Colin. I was definitely thinking Henry as well as someone that I could talk to. So
I'm looking forward to seeing something out of Henry that's a little bit more. He talked about it earlier in this episode too, and I don't know if you covered it, but he's actually like, oh, maybe I should start playing this game a little bit more. Yes, please do, because there are a lot of people playing this game, and Henry, I hope you catch up to somebody. Like, Hannah, you were miles ahead of everyone, pretty much, at this point.
Literally running circles around people. And really, Henry is the last person, now that Gabe is gone, because we didn't get to see a lot of Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
And we just didn't get to see his full story. Henry's the only one left who's, like, not doing something. And he's aware that his tribe was going to vote him out, and he's almost having to, like, decide, am I going to do something about it or I'm going to take it? So hopefully you get reconnected with Henry. Hopefully you don't work with Kristen, because I don't see that going well. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong often, so I guess we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I could see Kristen being like the not I don't want to say nicer half of like a Hannah and Kristen duo, but I think Hannah is more opinionated and knows how to play the game more, and maybe can be like, Kristen, we have to do this and to get this person out, and then Kristen will be like, okay, yeah, Hannah's totally right.
After talking to Kristen, I think we talked to her last week, and now that she's saying that the things that she was doing, because every time her facial expression is, I'm like, she was doing shady stuff. After she said that she was just uncomfortable, I definitely think that I was reading it wrong a little bit. So maybe she isn't as shady as I initially anticipated her to be, and that she would be a really good kind of formidable, because she's not doing it with Sophie right now. Whatever her and Sophie are doing, it is not working. So maybe you could be the not as aggressive Sophie to the Kristen, because I think she's just nervous to be with Sophie. So we don't get to see it. Now we do, and since I get to talk to you now, and we didn't get to see the whole thing, so you can't even tell me everything what happens. But one of the little spoilers that we get to see going into the next episode is what looks like a really cute prom picture of you and Colin. And Sophie's coming through and she's showing everyone this picture. So like, damn it, Sophie. I know you can't tell us everything that ends up happening. I guess so in like the easiest terms or without giving away too much. Does it cause a rift in your game? Does it like blow up in your face? Because you've been worried about this all game. We've heard you say we should just tell people. I don't want people to think we're shady. Well, there's nobody left in the game for you that you should have had to tell. Your people are gone. So does it throw a rift in your game?
I promised Trevor I wouldn't give spoilers. So I'm like holding my tongue right now. Like, Trevor, answer the question for me.
You definitely. I will say, when the next time on definitely shows that people are now potentially catching on that hey, there might be a couple in this game. I think you definitely had to be like try to have a balancing act of a trapeze, like a trapeze whatever, and you had to be an acrobat on the trapeze line, and Colin Bunn and Shaggy are currently shooting you with guns up there, and all of a sudden Sophie comes in with like a nuke.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at the minimum, it definitely made you even more paranoid than you were before. Would you agree with that?
I'm curious, how did they not find out about it before? Were you not adding people on Facebook? Did you do a good job of like hiding pictures, or what was that like? What did you and Colin do to prepare for this? I guess working together, but not working together.
We like totally changed our profile pictures on like all of our social medias. We made sure not to let anybody follow us, and it was like, Gabe wants to follow you, and I'm like, I can't let him follow me. And so definitely not letting them follow us. I think we archived some pictures on Facebook because people can like still see pictures even if they don't follow you and stuff. So we tried to do this like deep cleaning, thinking that we would be safe and fine. But as you saw in the spoiler, it didn't go as planned necessarily. But we had a good run.
Did anybody like take offense to that? They're like, Hannah won't be my friend. Like, it's still pending. Like, did anybody bring this up to you?
I don't think anybody specifically was like, what the heck is wrong with you? I feel like maybe somebody asked and was like, oh, I followed you, by the way. And I was like, oh, sorry, like I have 200 people that have asked to follow me and I keep forgetting to go through the list or something silly like that, which made no sense. So I tried to cover my tracks as most as possible. So nobody was like too upset about it. And plus, you've only known these people for a couple of weeks. So it's like not a big deal, I guess. But yeah.
That's what I'm always like, my social media is for my family. I'm so far from home.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just don't like people I don't know. My kids are on there, so I want to make sure it's somebody I know. I'm not saying you're a creeper, but I don't know you like that to see pictures of my kids. So it usually people will be like, oh, do you think? And I'm like, no. It's not you, it's me. It's for and usually that'll work. I cannot wait to see what happens here. I know I shouldn't want to see this, but I think it's going to be like the first real drama we have of this season. And I've already commented, for all I know, you could just be like,
I told Maggie and Gabe those are who I was working with, so I don't know why you are so pissed off. I don't owe you shit. Like, you just tried to vote me out. And it'll really be Colin Ray who will be like, sorry, Nick. I know I tricked you. And he's having to, like, swim upstream to figure it out. But I don't see why it would, like, yeah, it's something, but also, like, you're like, we were never on a tribe together. We haven't been working together. What is the point to even tell you? Because it doesn't matter up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is, and you didn't even get to see what it, like, you've never asked me. You need to ask me the question before you can be pissed off about it. Ask me and I would have told you, but why would I tell you when I have never talked to you? And so hopefully you'll be able to, like, spin it in a way that it's beneficial for you.
Plus, there's more pairs to be looking out for in the game at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, Shaggy and Lily are close pairs.
Oh, I was going to say, another couple?
No.
And you're not wrong. And it's so easy. We talked about this episodes ago. I would never work in a game with my spouse. Ever, 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 ever. Because I would never forgive him for not just letting me win. Like, give me the shit. That idol's mine. Go make an alliance. Tell me all about it. What are they talking about? Like, tell me everything. I would never be able to, like, me, hello, and we would be fighting about it 10 years later. So I just couldn't imagine why people wouldn't be like, okay.
I'm assuming that does come up with you and Colin eventually, Hannah. Like, be like, remember that one time that one thing happened? Because that happens with me and Kirk. Like, we played a handful of live games, and Opposite of Destiny, like, we didn't work together, or at least we tried not to. But of course, you know, we are always working together. But there's still those instances that you're like, oh, you should have told me about this vote, or this could have happened. Like, we could have made it, or something like that. There's always those coulda, woulda, shouldas that you confess in your partner, and you're like, oh, remember that time? So it's your turn to do the dishes now. You do it.
Yeah, especially in the game like Survivor, I feel like after playing, there's always like, what if I had said this to this person? Would that have completely changed what they had done? And that's the one thing I love about Survivor, especially, is that you do all these big moves and these big plays, but there's always the, what if I had done this? Could have everything have been different? So, you know, that's one thing that makes it Survivor so interesting, is being able to have these, you know, one word might completely change someone's game entirely.
It really does. And you'll think about it, they'll haunt you forever. I still think about things. I'm like, I wonder if I just would have told them, would it have mattered? And sometimes it'll be like post game, or they'll be like, if you would have talked to me, it would have been. You're like, no, it wouldn't have. You're saying that now because you know the outcome, and you're trying to, like, placate blame elsewhere. It wouldn't have done anything. All it would have been more drama. So hopefully we will get to see you stay in the game for a really long time, that this won't be an impact, and you'll be able to be like, tell Sophie to sit down and shut up and do what Kristen says, or something. Or you can at least pin out other couples that's a bigger issue versus you and Colin, who have never been on a tribe together, so it's never impacted anything.
And I'm super excited going into this next episode too. I think really we cut off at a really pivotal moment, and the little spoilers we got to see really got me intrigued for the next episode and really hyped up too. So Colin does a great job at the editing, and give him props for that, especially. Like, it was really good.
So our second spoiler that we get to see outside of Hannah in a beautiful prom dress is in fact another brown paper bag. And if my memory is correct, we get to hear the words, Leah, pick a bag.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, Hannah gets to move now. Like, she gets to maneuver somewhere, because you're gonna tribe swap or merge, or you're gonna do something that's different potentially.
I could see a merge, like they all go in with the assumption of like tribe swapping, and then it's like orange buff, orange buff, orange buff, and then everybody orange buff, or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
That would be cute. That'd be cute. It would only work for a few of them though. Like 5 orange buffs in, they're gonna be like,
who's going to exile? Maybe, I don't know.
One of you doesn't get a buff, and you're safe until final tribal council. And it's Henry, and he never has to play the game. Because that's what he's hoping for here. So, Trevor, I ask you every week, can you give us any more spoilers outside of what we've seen? Tell us something else.
So I will say, not to go back to the challenge too much, but I remember, like, once you repeated what I said, I kind of remember how I felt watching it. So I obviously I didn't do any confessionals like them saying, hey, we threw the challenge, because that didn't happen yet. So I didn't know they were gonna throw the challenge. I think I was like, I could see it, but I'm like, maybe. And it was like, I don't like, I know Destiny, you said, and I'm Dustin, I don't know if you feel this way as well, but like, it wasn't obvious that they threw it for a viewer. It was very obvious. Like, from, I think, like, the second round was so obvious that they threw it. And I remember I wasn't like angry. I was kind of frustrated in the fact that, like, not that they threw the challenge. You want to throw the challenge, great TV for me. So I really can't complain. It was like just so obvious. I was like frustrated because I was like, you guys are good. You guys are at least somewhat strategic players, and I feel like you guys should have been able to hide this a little better. So like, after the challenge, after I said, like, oh, challenge is over, right, they win. Tafiti was I mean, obviously everyone except Hannah and Gabe, they were laughing, and the mystery gang, the other tribe, were like kind of like uncomfortably laughing, and I was like this wasn't even close, guys. Like, I don't know why you guys are laughing. Like, you guys literally just got embarrassed. I think I said, like, probably a little less harsh than that, but I remember like being like, guys, you are laughing, and the other, like, I didn't want to say it, but like, the other tribe knows you threw it, so like, you know, we're in the late post swap, so I think that's something you should think about.
So is this we're gonna see this impact this next episode? That's what I'm getting from your comment here. Is this something is gonna come up, and this doesn't die here? This is gonna continue on.
I remember I talked, when I've talked to other people on that tribe, like, they all mentioned it when I mentioned, like, say, last tribe account, they're like, yeah, they threw the challenge, and I just can't believe they did that. And it was so obvious. Like, I think it's just about everyone mentioned it, so it's at least at the minimum, at least in the back of their minds, thinking these people are here to play, and they're here to play very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. Well, hopefully we'll get to see it into a full circle in the next couple episodes here. Hannah, I hope we get to see you for the next, like, 10 episodes. I do not want to see you go anywhere. I look forward to seeing how you kind of navigate what's coming up with this new twist of your relationship status coming out. I can't wait to see what you do with this idol. I'm gonna hope that it's like this bomb idol play here and some groundbreaking, game altering thing happens. We have, and I've said it every week, we are not too far into the season where you can't catch up. Seriously, skip episode 1, skip episode 2, watch episode 3, 4, 5, and 6. You'll be fine. Like, you miss a little bit of storyline or whatever, but like, you'll be okay. Get caught up, take out 4 hours of your time, watch the season, catch up with us, because these stories are so, like, you're addicted to them. They're just so good. So, Hannah, we thank you for being here. We're just about at our hour mark, but we sincerely thank you for being here. I won't ask you to tell me if you win the game or not.
We'll come back to that question next time.
Just wait, just stay when we get off, and I'll just ask you. Thank you again for calling in while you're in Jamaica, living her best life over there. You have been so fun to watch. So if we don't get to talk to you again, just thank you for playing. Thank you for starting from literally the moment you walked into that room, day 1, to what you're doing here now. Thank you for making us want to watch and root for you. You are definitely somebody you want to see do well. And I think that's a testament to you as a person, but also just to your love of the game. And so as a fan, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your love showing through to make us want to see you do well.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
You are welcome.
I'm so thankful to be on your podcast. This has been so much fun. So thank you for having me.
You are welcome back anytime. I would love to talk to you more. I would love to get your full insight. I had so much fun talking to you. You're not wrong. Hannah and Trevor are amazing. So if you're not watching it already, if you're just tuning into this podcast because you want to just hear my voice, whatever, like, whatever toots your horn here, watch the episodes. They are so fun to watch. Trevor and Colin have put together what is a great game to see. And
Where
so
do
we would
find the next episode, Trevor?
It'll be every Tuesday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Episode 7 will be coming out. We'll have to see what happens. Hannah seems to be on the outs, as we talked about last episode. Nick is also potentially on the outs for his past actions. So we'll see if those two who started, I believe you two felt they were at the top of your list. Now they're on the bottom of their tribes. What they can do to scratch their way out of this one.
And I don't know what they're going to do. I will say, ending my episode this week, obviously Hannah is going to stay up the top. She made a move. She made one of the only moves this game, but I don't think it's a move that is going to kill her game by any sense of the word. And Lily, who had been kind of really riding my top rankings, Homegirl, you go way down. I just don't like how you played it. And Sophie is actually who I think I was most critical of up until this point. She's going up on my list. She's not necessarily making moves, but she's definitely not giving up. And I think that alone is just a testament to her character. So the boys right now, they're way down. I don't know how in the world I thought a boy was going to win this season because I just don't see it right here, right now. But maybe they will tell us later. So watch the next episode Tuesday at 7 p.m. and then come hang out with us on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we would love to get your thoughts. We'd love to have you in our chat with us and to tell us how you are feeling. Get caught up. We want to talk to you about it. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for coming and watching. And Hannah, we will talk to you soon. Trevor, as always, it was fun. And Dustin, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.